nilichoka kungoja. I'm a new school kid, nyama lazima ije kwa mboga yo. Life ni just na you only live once. Give thanks daily, kila time napata chance. It's a special dedication to my only sister. Just smile mommy when you listen to this part, cause you're the queen. Yeah, if life is a game of chess, hakuna mali wezi pita. Love ni bliss. Yeah, you don't need no validation. Love yourself, ignore the sequence. Yeah, look at the mirror on the wall and fall in love with your reflection. Yeah, and if you ever feel lost.
That is Outlaw Reflection, playing right here on the Two Champion show. I am super excited for this interview. Yani, it is gonna be amazing. We have a representative from Kenya Originals. His name is Brian. And in case you did not know, KO is an authentic African craft beverage, and they have a couple of products made using real Kenyan ingredients, 100%. You have your ciders, your gin, you have your tonics, iced tea, and we are gonna be talking about Kenya Originals as a whole. Gonna be able to discuss and talk about their products. Brian is gonna take us through Kenyan Originals from the history to where they're at right now. And I'd like to first ask Brian how he's doing today.
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I am great. Thank you so much for pulling up.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course.
Thanks for having me.
So before we talk about Kenya Originals, I'd want to know how you found yourself at Kenya Originals and working there.
Oh, wow.
Story time.
Yeah, man, that's a very interesting conversation.
Mm-hmm.
So, fun fact, I actually started at KO as a brand ambassador.
Oh, really?
Yeah, literally started from the bottom.
Started from the bottom, now we're here.
I started KO, I think this was like late 2019s, early 2020. Early 2020, where this was just before COVID.
Yeah.
So it was a really kind of like tough time, just like trying to get the next new gig.
Mm-hmm.
A friend of mine hit me up, told me, there's this company that's hiring new people, so what do you want to try it out? I went for the interviews. I tried it out. It was the first time ever that I interviewed for like a brand ambassador job selling alcohol. So it was a really, I would say, new terrain and field, but had all the, I would say, energy to conquer it. So I went in, I was part of the brand ambassador program or the venue manager program.
Mm-hmm.
So KO has this amazing program where they're able to like have a pipeline of talent, of like youngins, where you start in as a brand ambassador, and as you build your skill and it's like you hone your skill and you know where you want to focus, they're able to like nurture that particular talent, and then within the business find an opportunity for you. So it was like maybe a couple of months, I was able to be promoted into the sales team. And then I was territory manager in charge of Nairobi CBD. So like I did sales for KO in CBD for like 3 months.
Wait, how was sales? That must have been quite crazy. We talk about sales, but put us in your shoes. How was that?
One, let me just start here. I lasted for 3 months.
Oh yeah.
So it was an interesting ordeal. I was the reason I would say interesting is because I learned a lot of new things and I understood a lot more about the sales process than I previously did. But sales is tricky when it comes to you selling an idea of a new product to a market that is already seen as matured. Like, people have already set, what their palate is. They like the different like brands of beer. They like the different brands of like, if it's iced teas or tonics. So for you to convince them that your product is the next best thing is a tricky one, especially also being a local brand where you source and you make all these products locally. A lot of people have this perception that local is cheap or somewhat local is bad, so you need to go through that barrier, then convince them about the idea, like it's a better product. And then also the fact that we make our products using fresh natural ingredients means that our production cost is much more higher than any average manufacturer, because they would use concentrates or compounds that basically would substitute what we are doing, but at a much more cost-effective approach. So the pricing for KO relative to like other products in the market would be seen as a premium placement or pricing. So that was also like another challenge. But all in all, I figured I was much more into marketing than sales. So I just had to like switch from like sales into marketing.
Incredible.
Yeah.
So for those people who are listening, Kenya Originals was founded in 2018 with the mission to build truly authentic African craft beverage products. And they are made with real Kenyan ingredients.
True.
Can we talk a bit about the ingredients that are used and why you guys thought to just use 100% real Kenyan ingredients?
So if I would take a few steps back, our founder, her name is Alex. She basically has a history working for different alcohol brands and different FMCG brands across the globe, from like West Africa to Europe. And previously, before she like was able to like live in Kenya, you know, she was working in West Africa, and she like saw the drinking culture, for example, in like places like Nigeria, and understood that what consists of the local variety is imported products, where 80 if not majority percent of all particular products on any particular shelf are all imported. So when she came to Kenya, there was this unique opportunity where you have a country that is very rich and abundant when it comes to like, you know, different natural resources, from like the fruits and all the different things that we're talking about. And then also you have an existing culture that makes their own brews depending on the products abundant to them. Like, for example, you know, the Moratinas of the world, the Changas and the Busas. These are people who appreciate the value of alcohol in their communities, but over and above all that, use what is readily available to them to create their reality. So combining those two ideas, where you have this huge market which has all import, and you have this rich country that has a rich story when it comes to like alcohol and it comes to like making alcohol using natural ingredients, how do you combine those two together and also modernize it in a global standard or in a global scale? So ciders, originally coming from France, they are known to have like a base of apple. So like every cider is basically an alcoholic beverage with apple as the main ingredient. So knowing that, the whole idea was, now how can we make fruit ciders where you do have the apple as the main base, but now you mix it up with different tropical fruits like the passion and lime, the pineapple and mint, the mango and ginger. It just basically like bring out the Kenyan palate in the taste itself and in the making of the product. So yeah, the whole idea was fixing that gap, or rather meeting that gap, using what is readily available in Kenya and then giving it like a modern chaotic twist. And that's why you get the whole variety of like KO.
Incredible. So it was founded in 2018. But before that, how long did it take till it was actually founded and we saw the first products?
The first ever KO was actually sold at Blankets and Wine. This was in 2018.
Wow.
And at that time, our CEO had a container in Limuru. She started with a container in Limuru. And she literally had like maybe like a team of like 3 people. One of them was like literally people who were working for her in her home area, and then just like basically after work, you know, going to her rather to a container, like just making some few recipes. She also started out in her kitchen. Like she started out in her kitchen, you know, trying out the different recipes and samples, and then progressed to like getting a container. So I would say like maybe 6 months to like a year, you know, 6 months to like 12 months from like the whole idea being just a simple idea to them actually being able to like say, let's get a container.
Incredible. So here you are, you're in the market, it's 2018, and you sell your first one at Blankets and Wine. I want to know, at this point, what are people saying? What's the reciprocation? What are people telling you? Like, is it good? Is it bad? And it being like a Kenyan product, is it hard to actually get into the market?
It's super duper hard.
Yeah?
It's super duper hard. I think one of the key things that helped us or benefited KO was the fact that already Blankets and Wine existed to fit the audience that KO already had known to be the future consumers. So it was a really even ground where we have a product that is very new. We want to not necessarily hear what people have to say about it, but understand what we need to do about the product, like for them to like actually enjoy it.
Yeah.
So I think at Blankets and Wine, the reception was relatively good. Considering the fact that also these were like literally the fast ever recipes, so
Yeah.
there was a lot of sedimentation. We didn't yet have like state of the art filtration system, so the sedimentation was even bigger. You had like the products being like the swing top bottles instead of
Yeah.
like the cap bottle. It's more like the swing top.
Yeah.
So it had a very unique, new sense, fresh feeling, but also it was very too early for the consumers to actually like put the idea of what the brand is and like see the potential that it had. So I would say it was an even split between good and we're about to find out. So yeah, but yeah, going into the Kenyan market when it comes to alcohol and beverages,
It's tough. Like,
T4
whew,
tough.
yeah.
Because you're competing with people who literally just celebrated 100 years old.
Yeah, and you're
Yeah,
like,
a
shit,
full
guys,
century.
tumengia to say.
Yeah, and you're definitely punching above your weight, and it's more about creating authentic engagements with your consumers and ensuring that there is intimate connection and affection for the brand and the brand love. But yeah, tricky, but KO, we're trying to do it.
Yeah, you guys are doing it. I could say that you are making a name for yourselves out there. What was the first product? Was it a gin? Was it a
Ciders.
cider?
So the ciders. So the first line of product. Ooh, actually, no. No.
Tell us.
The first line of product, which was not really under KO,
Okay.
but the project that later fed into KO was called the Nairobi Nibbles. So Nairobi Nibbles was another idea where you have like some snackable bites,
Yeah.
which basically are dried fruits put together in like small bowls. So you have like a coconut and mango that is dried and they're like rolled up into a nice bowl.
Okay.
And then they're like very tiny, like maybe as small as your small fingernail,
yeah.
or whatever. And the very small ones, so like you used to like take them as snacks. But those ones I like, it was only a matter of time before the business was like, no, we need to cut this. We need to cut this.
It's not
Yeah.
selling.
But after that, we had the ciders.
Okay.
The 4 original ciders are the pineapple and mint, the passion and lime, the mango and ginger, which we later revisited the recipe and innovated it, or
Yeah.
renovated it to mango chili. And then the final one was the lime and ginger.
So let's talk about the ingredients. I
Yeah.
feel like you guys put together very interesting combinations, and I want to know how this process came to be. Did you guys have like people testing? Did you guys decide, okay, we're going to get a couple of people? Like, we love the idea here, but we also want to know from like a consumer perspective if people would enjoy.
Yeah. So in the research and development process of any, I would say, product development, there's obviously the internal processes that that happen. So brainstorming different recipes and executing those recipes as a liquid and trying them out internally, understanding how exactly do those drinks like taste,
Yeah.
and then shortlisting internally, understanding which ones make more sense.
Yeah.
And then what we do now is also we do consumer-led I would say research and survey.
All right.
So we literally call either random consumers or we go to the places like places like different clubs where you would go and you get a table reserved and you literally ask random revelers, hey, we have an activity that we're doing today. We would literally want you guys to like taste things out, tell us what you think about it, give us honest feedback. We also make it understood by our consumers that their feedback is really, really accepted. Like, most people, whenever they know you're doing something, they can't really give you critical feedback if they want to. They're like, oh, I'm not sure I want to tell you this is bad.
Yeah.
So we ensure that they're free and they're like non-biased in terms of like giving us only positive feedback. We do like different runs of the consumer survey, so we can do like 3, 4, 5 of those before we actually decide to lock down a particular recipe. But what we say is we need an average of at least 500 entries before we are able to say, hey, let's make this a product.
Yeah.
Because if we sample maybe 1,000, 2,000 people, and out of the 2,000 people, only, well, let's say 10% of it accept the product, then we don't see the value in it. But if you have like a huger demographic accepting it, then we like look at that as an opportunity.
Okay.
So yeah, a lot of research goes into it, a lot of pre-tastings goes into it. Also for the design and packaging, we also do the design and packaging beforehand.
Yeah.
We show the consumers what they think, or rather what they believe would be a better kind of like design for the product.
Yeah.
We also look at I would say the production side of it, like, you know, how costly is it going to be, you know, can we get the material, how easy is it going to be, like, you know, to turn over the product, you know, etc. So yeah, a lot of work goes into it, but we try to always involve the consumer, especially when it's something that it's for the end consumer. Yeah,
I'd say though the packaging is really cool. Like if anything, you guys nailed it on the packaging. Like all your bottles look incredible. It's like, I actually want to taste that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
No, yeah, that's really good.
Yeah, and I think that's what you guys were going for. Like you want something that looks good. So here you are, you've moved from the container and you moved to a bigger site in Babadogo.
Yeah.
And here you guys are now doing a lot of production where it's 15 tons of like real mango, pineapple, lime, passion, fruit mint. And I want to be able to ask, how was that transition for you guys?
One, it was a very steady transition.
Yeah.
Most people from the outside looking in, they see like this fast growth when it comes to like the business. But ideally, it's been a really gradual step with phenomenal people in the background, like doing phenomenal work. I think I want to, give like a big commendation to like our CEO, who's like also our founder. Because I think one of her biggest superpowers is that she's very able to share her vision of the brand and like her vision of like where she wants KO to be to investors and other key stakeholders, to the point where we have literally people always investing in the business, which is very, very important for like a business like ours, which is like, it's a small business growing. We have huge potential. We see already the potential in the customer's eyes. We already see, the potential that we have. So how are we able to also have other people outside of what is the consumer bracket, being investors, suppliers, creditors, see that value and also invest in the business. So when we started at the first container, we moved she got 3 more containers, or rather 2 more containers to make it 3.
To make it 3.
And then after that is when she moved now from Limuru all the way to Babadogo. When she
yeah.
moved to Babadogo, we were only in 1 go down.
Really?
Yeah, we only started in 1.
Wow.
And then that 1 go down was the office, was the production floor, was like, everything where we had our meetings, etc.
Yeah.
That's actually where I got interviewed for like the gig for the first time.
For the first time.
And then a year later, we were able to get the 2nd go down. And then over the years now, we were able to get like 2 go downs. So like right now in total, we have like 4 go downs.
Wow.
One is more like, office space, raw packaging material. The other one is a liquid line where we basically pack or can all the different liquids. The 3rd one is a warehousing / like dispatch center, and then the first one, which is like the original one, which is like now the production site or the production floor, which has the copper still and has like the different IBC containers for the ciders, etc. So yeah, very steady growth. So I would say from the container till now, it's been 5 years of growth.
Incredible.
So so steady but sure.
Yeah. So Brian, you're doing marketing, and I know for somebody who does marketing, you really have to be able to study how people are buying, what they're doing, and I want to just get your insight on this. The drinking culture in Kenya. Yeah. How is it?
Wow. I think there's a very dominant culture when it comes to drinking.
Oh
in
yeah,
Kenya.
very.
Like it's all about, who's the biggest drinker, who drinks the most, who goes out the most,
Yeah.
So I wow, this is interesting. So one thing I would say about the drinking culture in Kenya, which is something that has really stood out for me, is that the consumer's perception of what quality is may not necessarily be what actually is quality.
Yeah.
Let me explain that a bit. To all my iPhone users, there's a psychological term called conspicuous consumption, and conspicuous consumption is basically where the person consumes a product not necessarily because of the benefit that the product has, but more about the association that is tied to that product, or using the product. Like iPhone users, when they see that green text, they're like, what was this Android?
That's FaceTime.
So I think that's one of the biggest challenges, because we at KO, by global standards, are making some of the best ciders in the world, like using natural ingredients, using like processes that a very much craft, where it's not really a science. Every particular batch requires to be made a certain way. This is simply because of different variable factors, like, the type of season of the fruit, like things like mangoes, they have on season, off season.
Yeah.
So when you have like an off season, you need to ensure you know how to work with the mangoes available in that season to make your consistent taste when it comes to like the mango and chili. So having the consumer understand the processes, the time, the expertise, and also the overall effect of the product after they drink is really, really important in the path to purchase for the consumer, but it's not really considered as much. In Kenya, what we would perceive as value is the associational value. But then, I saw this person drinking this, so let me try it. You're not trying it because you like it, or you're gonna like it, or yes, you're an experience seeker, you wanna like experience what that product tastes like. But more importantly, what is moving you to do that is just simply having or seeing this other person like do it. So it's the association of using the product, that is a benefit to you. But if you were to compare other unique selling propositions of those same brands, one would stand out more than the other. If you're to compare, like, let's say a KO cider to any kind of other cider, you're going to know for a fact maybe this other brand or this other company doesn't use fresh ingredients. This other company uses fresh ingredients. From a value perspective, that is major value for the consumer, but that thought process is not put in place when it comes to the buying of the product. It's something that we as a brand have taken up as a role to do, where we call it LOL activations, like liquid on lip activations, where we are able to give you, the consumer, the opportunity to try it out first. Like, what do you think about it? Because that also moves you to be like, actually, I like this.
I like it.
Because without you giving me the sample, I would have seen it on the shelf and be like, But then when you actually try it and you like it, then you're like, cool. Then you could like refer it to someone else. And that's in that particular touch point, we are able to communicate to the consumer what our unique selling propositions are. So, real ingredient, Kenyan made, craft beverage or craft cider, and all this, I would say, information, once they really, really like digest it and understand it. I've seen people for a fact say and completely repeat, say, I'm never going to have any other cider than KO. And that's exactly where you want to get your consumers, but it requires a lot of consumer education.
Interesting. So I want to find out, why gin, why tonics, why iced teas, why ciders?
Good question. So the original 3 lines were the tonics, iced teas, and ciders. The tonics, it was a simple... Fun fact about our tonics. We actually import quinine from DRC of Congo.
Oh, really?
So we use natural quinine to make our tonics.
Wow.
Again, this is something that genuinely I don't think any other person even in the globe is doing. Like, a lot of people don't really go to that much length. And that's why our products may be slightly more costly than others. But it's not simply, you're not simply paying for the cost, you're paying for the value of the product. So initially the iced teas and tonics were mixers and chasers. This was just like basically an opportunity to also complement other beverages within the industry. So the people who already have gins in their portfolio, the guys who already are making cocktails, what more could we as KO do outside of the cider space to also engage them? So the tonics, the iced teas were like a mixer variety, an option. And then also something like the tonic and the iced tea, initially when they came out, they were supposed to be a very cool alternative to non-alcoholic drinkers in the on-trade. So you're not drinking alcohol, but you also want to seem cool like the other crowd. So you can get your iced teas in a very cool, slick can, or you can get like your tonic, etc., etc. But yeah, so those were like ideally the opportunities and like the need states in which like the tonics and iced teas like fit in. When it comes to gin, so for the gin, we have 2 unique gins. Well, we have more than 2 unique gins. But in terms of like the product or the brand, we have 2 brands of gin. The first brand of gin is Kenyan Originals. So Kenyan Originals gin, you have the KO Classic, you have the KO Blush, which was recently called the Tambuzi. So those 2 particular gins are 5.5 times distilled. The first time that they came out was last year in April. So they're basically, I would say, maybe a year and like 5 months. And the opportunity there was there still is, and there has been this gin revolution where a lot of people are interested in, like, you know, enjoying gin. People like there's this gin craze that is going around, and we saw the opportunity to be part of that.
Yeah.
Also, we had been working on our spirits license for over a year and a half.
I can only imagine how that was taken left, right, center.
Getting a spirits license in Kenya
is
like
hectic, right?
The same as, I don't know what I
can compare it to.
But yeah, like it was really, really hectic. It was like, yeah, but when we got the license, we were able to come up with the 2 brands, the KO gin line and the 5/8 gin line. For the KO, we have limited edition batches, which are very, very unique and very, I would say, amazing kind of like products.
Okay.
You have the cacao gin, you have the pineapple gin, you have coastal spices, you have cross boundary, you have purple haze, you have like the, I shouldn't say that one because it's not really ready yet. But like, you know, like there's a number of very unique palettes, well Kenyan distilled gins that are all about the provenance. They're all about, you know, like the sourcing story. They're all about I would say, not simply the story itself, but also the processes of making it. You know, these are gins that are literally pre-macerated. What that means is, you know, normally when people are making gin, there's different ways of like making a gin. So there are people who do pre-macerations and do post-macerations.
Okay.
So pre-maceration is where they basically infuse all the ingredients into the gin before they distill it. So the spirit is infused with all the different ingredients, and then they take that spirit that has been infused and then they distill that. But then there are people who distill the gin, then at the end add all the ingredients. You know, so there's a very unique difference in terms of the palate when you compare those 2 particular techniques, because the first technique ensures that you're only macerating through the slow process of like infusion, but then you distill it, so you refine the smoothness, you refine the softness, you refine, like, I would say that the lightness of the gin, as opposed to post maceration, which is more like you have a distilled gin and then you infuse it with more ingredients. It may work out well, it may not work out well, but the pre-macerated gins, or when you pre-macerate before you distill it, it's really, really good. Also, to ensure like we pack in the right kind of flavors, alcohol is a lot more soluble than water. So it's at 57%.
Yeah.
So the gin being at 57%, when you take a sip of it on ice, or even if you open it up with a little bit of water, it literally feels like you're on a journey in terms of like the aroma and the spices and the mouthfeel. So very, very unique products, very, very amazing processes that use in making them.
Incredible.
So yeah, but the gin craze, tapping into like the whole gin revolution and also being authentic about it and chaotic about it. That's how we were able to come up with the ingredients. Or the lines.
Incredible. I want to know, will KO venture into like making whiskey or rum or beers? Like, is that something that you guys have probably like discussed and you're like,
I've signed an NDA for this? For beer, I don't think so.
Okay.
Well, just simply because
competition.
Tusker is synonymous to beer in Kenya.
That is true.
You know,
that
it's like,
true.
what are you having? A Tusker. Also, you're having a beer. You know, like it's synonymous to beer. Other lines, yes.
Yeah.
I will not disclose anything right now, but yes. Even if you look at the 5/8 gin, it's called 5/8 spirits.
Yeah.
So meaning that, you know, we will go outside of just gin, you know, we may do rum, we may do vodka, we may do a different line of like, you know, product. But the whole idea is there is so much room to play around when it comes to the palate. So yeah, I would say the sky is the limit. Like, we really will do a lot beautiful things with this particular liquids.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the vibe sessions at the bar in Baba Dogo.
Yeah, for sure. Where do you want to start?
Who thought about the vibe sessions? How was it, especially hosting in Baba Dogo? And I want to know like what people were saying.
So the local vibe, is a let me call it a property for the brand.
Okay.
Where we, like Radio 254, are interested in creating platforms for creatives all across Kenya.
Yeah.
And we want to be in the forefront of this particular space by not only giving them platforms but creating those platforms, you know. And the local vibe session, the first one was possibly in 2019 with Tetu Shani,
Okay.
and it was a really, really dope experience. He came to now the Go Down number
The Go
34.
Down.
At that time was our only Go Down. You know, he did like an amazing set and show. People were drinking KO, you know.
Yeah.
So I think the main part is being able to create a platform for like creatives to like come on and like present their art form and present their craft. But also another thing for us is we are able to really be in control of the whole drinking experience, which is also a very unique thing that we want to be part of.
Yeah.
We know we are creating and producing a very amazing brand and a very amazing product. We know that the consumers need some level of education when it comes to like, you know, what is quality, what is good, what is not good.
Yeah.
And we also need to present it in a very palatable way so that, you know, they're not only enjoying the product, but they're enjoying themselves.
Yeah.
Therefore, you know, forming that, I would say, activity paired with an emotion,
The
it gives you a memory,
experience,
you know.
yeah.
So when we did that, it was more aligned to all those things combined. And then if you think about it, Kenyans really drink for any reason. You know? It's
That
like,
is true.
what are you
We're
doing?
happy.
It's like,
That's
guys,
true.
nimefungiwa nyumba. You know, it's like, voila, it's like, yeah, we drink to that, you know. So,
Yeah.
so I think for us there, it was also us being part of the party, you know, us also being part of our consumer, understanding truly what we are doing is good, and then also hearing the anecdotal feedback, you know, trying to understand what the consumer thinks about it, you know, what they feel we should change, what they feel we should do better. And we've done a couple over the years. The most recent one was just a month ago at Journey to the Baobabs, where we had John. I hope I got his name right. John. Yeah, John. Yeah. It's John.
It's John.
Hey John.
He's
Sorry.
John.
Hey John. But yeah, we had John perform at Journey to the Baobabs, which was in Kilifi. Beneath the Baobabs, the organizers of Beneath the Baobabs are also part of, I would say, the people that we've recently like partnered with last year at the Beneath the Baobabs. Beneath the Baobabs is an event that happens every year end, and it happens in Kilifi. It's a very big event with over 4 stages, you know, in one particular environment. But uniquely is that they bring acts from all over Kenya, all over the world. So we as KO, as partners of Beneath the Baobabs, we wanted to do our own stage. So last year we had our own stage under the local vibe session, and we basically had a stage only full of Kenyan creatives.
Wow.
So we like literally there was almost 10 to 12 different creatives. All of them were under the KO local vibe session, and it was all sponsored by us. So also even in global platforms where different global acts are coming to perform in Kenya, we also want to present a platform for the Kenyan like creatives in that particular audience. Yeah. And it was a really, really cool audience. Also, it was the most authentic. Reason being, even some of the consumers were like, yo, where's the Kenyan sound, you know, like that's what we in Kenya, we want to like listen to Kenyan sound. We didn't come all the way from where we're coming from just to simply hear what we already listened to. So like give us, you know, some fresh vibes, and they really, really loved it. So the local vibe session is something that even this year is going to happen again at Journey to the Baobabs, Beneath the Baobabs rather. And yeah, it's all about promoting Kenyan talent, paying them for like their art and craft, because I think that's also another thing that, you know, a lot of people are trying to do to monetize their talent. And we're just also trying to like be part of the solution in that particular regard.
Incredible. I want to know, because you've just touched on partnering. For, let's say, a creative or a company, what would it take for KO to sort of like take them under their wing and partner with you guys? Like what does it take? Like what are you guys looking for in terms of value brand? Because I'm sure you get a lot of proposals on the daily. And I just want to know, I'm very curious, for an individual or for a company, what are you guys looking for?
Okay, so that's a tricky question, just simply because I'm not really sure there's particularly any one thing or many things that, you know, when you combine them, fits the whole agenda. What I would say, which may sound very cliche, is that, you know, game recognizes game. You know, like we have gotten where we are now through consumer-led activities. So what we understand as value, same to our consumer, is putting in the work and putting in the effort, you know. Because the only reason our consumers would be as loyal and as loving to the brand is because they've seen the work being done, they've seen the steady growth, they've seen the consistency of our presence, you know. And I think most people, whenever they're thinking about, you know, working with a brand, you know, maybe sometimes, you know, they think simply as a matter of awareness. Maybe they just simply want to create awareness. Maybe they want to, you know, launch this new product, so they want, you know, as many people to like hear about it, you know, the talkability. But also, you being a person who's like work with different brands, you would understand different people have different value systems. And for us, I would say we prefer working with, I would say, creatives that already have a defined community.
Okay.
A community that they are engaging, not simply that is available, but also that is being engaged.
Yeah.
Also, a person who understands equitable value and equitable partnerships. What I mean is, we are more than happy to work with someone who wants us to pay them in product. Just because if we can pay you in product, then it's very easy for us to buy your idea, because then that means you're gonna appreciate the value that we are also trying to build for our consumers, you know. Also, I would say we prefer to really work with Kenyan originals, you know, people who are very authentic to their own style and their own nature. And original stops when people start copying, you know.
That is true.
So it's not really you doing something that is being globally done and then putting like a local brand behind it. It's more about authentically paving your way through your field and industry, and also having a sustainable plan, you know, and not simply like sustainable in the sense where you would exist through the course of the years, but also sustainable meaning that you are able to foster and harness unique, progressive relationships with your different partners, you know, because a lot of brands right now are on a gig to gig basis, you know. It's like, let me get this gig and let me get that gig. We want people who want to grow authentically with brands, you know, because also being a young brand, we don't have as much budget to like flex as the big boys, if you know what I'm saying.
Yet.
Exactly. It's only a matter of time. And then also looking at our consumers, we understand that they are not naive consumers. They're very conscious consumers. They're people who not only are interested in seeing your brand everywhere, but more interested in like the intimacy of the delivery. Like how much does it resonate with me as your consumer, as opposed to, oh, I've seen that person somewhere. So what I would say overall for us is value is brands or people that are already investing in their craft, in their art, in their audience. And then over and above all that, are willing to partner with us equitably, where we are more than happy to cater for, I would say, different costs, or to basically help in certain resourcing, but also have a symbiotic kind of like relationship with the same person where they're able to like share the same kind of like value system with us. But yeah, so in a nutshell, we need equitable partners, people who like obviously want simply more than just money. You know, they want to build something, they want to buy into the idea, and they're able to like put their money where their mouth is.
Interesting. We have the K community, which is growing. And I'm very curious, do you know who's buying the drinks? Who is the K community? Who are the people buying? Who are your consumers?
Okay. I would say we have it's very interesting.
Like, is it men, women? Could you give us like an age bracket? I'm just very curious.
So in terms of demography, let's call them Sonia.
Okay.
Sonia is ideally between the ages of like 25 to 40 years old. let's say Sonia has a male counterpart. Let's call Sonia's friend Sean. Okay, so Sean and Sonia.
Yeah.
So Sean and Sonia, 25 to 40 years old, earning between, I don't know, let's say 50 to 200,000 Kenya shillings or 50 to 100,000 Kenya shillings a month. This is a person who likes to hang out with their friends, but they're always about the experience. They want to
Okay.
seek out new experiences. They want to go to places where they've not been before. They're very explorative when it comes to like, you know, brands. They also consider the story behind the brand before like actually enjoying or investing in it.
Yeah.
These are people who are also I would just simply psychographically, I would say these are like people who are very much interested attitudinally. They're interested in like what is happening within the local scene.
Okay.
So these are going to be the people who are actually going to be wearing different local brands in terms of like their clothwear. They're going to be promoting, you know, comedy shows or like things that are happening within the society or community that we see very Kenyan. Yes, they do have a Western kind of like ideology when it comes to like how they dress, the people that they interact with, the music that they listen to. But when it comes to the products that they enjoy on their day to day, they want a story behind it. And then I would say, so this is basically for like the ciders. And then you have something like for the 5A gen.
Yeah.
For the 5A gen, let's call them Brayo. 5.8 is, I would say, it's more affordable, where you have it like maybe at 1,700 shillings, you know, for the Mzinga, and like maybe 600 to 700 shillings for like the Nusu. Brayo is a guy who, one, enjoys drinking with his homies and friends.
Yeah.
Whatever drinking activity he's doing majorly involves their friends. They drink occasionally, meaning it's more about the people that they're with are gonna influence, you know, what they drink.
Yeah.
Niwa say most of the time they're gonna split a drink, you know, it's like yo toa
True.
minto
Yeah,
minto,
tuchange.
you know, exactly, to
Yeah.
change, you know. These are like people who are very much into fashion, very much into music, very much into niche kind of music.
Okay.
The drills. When I say drill is niche, is that wrong?
No, you're okay.
Yeah, because it feels like it.
Yeah.
But yeah. And also psychographically, also these are people who really, really believe that they're trendsetters.
Yeah.
But technically and literally they are trend followers.
Okay.
I think in Kenya we have this grandiose mentality where we think of ourselves aspirationally, but not really realistically, where we believe that what we love is what everyone likes, not
True.
because they like it and then we do. It's more like we do.
We do.
That's why they like
That's
it,
why
you know.
they like
So
it.
yeah. And in terms of like age for the Brayo, basically someone who's like maybe between 21 and like 35, or 21 and like let's say 30. And then also lastly for the Brayos, these are like people who if I was to summarize them in a nutshell, is I'm with my homies and we're about to get a drink. Like that's literally who they are. It's like, yo, what are you doing today? Man, I'm with my homies, we're about to get a drink.
Yeah.
You know, and I think you may think of a few people when I say that.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then finally for the KO gin, it's more about the connoisseurs. It's more about the people who, you know, they're very interested in like a certain palette. They know exactly why they like it, you know, how they like it. They've really lived through a lot of experiences, whether socially or professionally, and that really informs their palette. Also, these are people who don't really struggle when it comes to like, you know, money issues. Like they really have a huge amount of disposable income compared to someone like Brayo, who's really has a really low like disposable income, maybe even non-existent.
Yeah.
And if they're not living with their parent, then they don't have any disposable income. So for the connoisseurs, it's more aligned to, let me call them sheiks, you know, a sheiks who's like, you know, moneyed.
Yeah.
She likes, you know, going to the coast whenever she has money, or whenever she's like planted with her friends. They're more interested in like, you know, doing gin tastings and doing wine tastings, you know, the ladies who branch, you know, etc., etc. So that's the kind of like audience profiles that we have for the KO 5.8, you know, ciders and gin.
Incredible.
Yeah.
So on Friday, you reached out and I felt so bad. It's just because I had to be here working.
No problem.
But I feel like what you were trying to do was incredible. So you have Anganya, you know, just getting to network with the people who were there as well, take them on a nice road trip, EV, and I want to know how that was. And in terms of marketing, how has it been getting into this whole digital space and marketing to us? I know that you talk about organic and reaching the people organically, but just curious to know how marketing for KO has been so far.
So there's 2 points that I'll separate. So one is on the kind of like influencer safari,
Yeah.
and then the other one is on how do we engage our consumers or how do we engage our audiences on social media. Right now in media, there's 3 main things. There's paid, owned, and earned media. So paid media is obviously what we pay for, from like Instagram ads to Facebook ads. There is owned media, meaning like this is the kind of media that we make as the brand. This is our content. This is like the different activities that we've done. And then there's earned media, where it's like basically having some of your consumers, do the UGC posts and like having them engage with the brand authentically.
Yeah.
So in all those different buckets, what we try to do is we put it in a funnel where we have paid media at the very top, which is more around awareness, more around visibility, having as many people see the product as possible. Then the second one is on our owned media, where now we are able to complement everything that we are saying in our paid media in terms of like the copy, the content. So this slowly starts to convert some of the consumers and some of like the people that we're engaging with. And I've actually seen this because, fun fact, I personally am bad at social media. Like my Instagram account has maybe like less than 100 followers.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, maybe you could even say it's a pseudo account, because well, I do have pictures and I do post, but it's just very
It's there.
domiciled.
It's dominant.
It's not
dominant.
it's not really that good. So when it comes to social, what I realized is right now content is king.
Hey, it's key, man.
It's
And you gotta be on it every day, like, because people forget.
The content must not necessarily just simply be frequent, but also must be informed, must be thought out through, must be
creative,
exactly.
Quality must be good,
and also very engaging and kind of like it's more like you don't really know until you post it. It's like, oh, I didn't even think this was gonna be viral.
Exactly.
Now it's viral.
Yeah, I hear you.
So basically walking through our consumers through the funnel has been the biggest, I would say, job for us right now, because looking at KO like 4 years back, where we didn't have like a lot of followers, now we have like 20,000 followers, or
20 plus,
and even for us that's a very huge number.
It
but
is.
if you also compare relatively to all other brands or maybe all other people, so drop in the ocean, so for KO, very, very steady growth, because we didn't really use any influencers. What we were doing is we had this consumer-led activities where, like, if you engage our post, we give you this, we give you that. So we're able to like get a lot more engagement. Also, that also helps us with the conversion, because you're able to reward someone for the activities that they did, but also more importantly, you are able to get them to try the product, because you would offer them as something as a reward being product. So that was really, really cool and really, really key. For 5/8 being a very newer young brand, I think what we are trying to understand more right now is how could we like leverage things like AI. It's like, how exactly are we able to take all this amazing information and all this amazing data that we have about our consumers, about us, about our route to market, and about the goals or metrics that we have for the brand, and then how do we like reverse engineer that to actually like get to our end goal. So that's what's really, really been key. But I would say organic growth is better than any kind of growth, just simply because your retention is going to be much, much more higher. Like, I know for a fact there is a consumer who has basically, I would say, engaged or interacted with each and every single, let's say, KO post for the past like, let's say, 3 years, and that's just simply because of how authentic the initial engagement with our brand was. So therefore it is basically in some sense instilled in them that this is an amazing brand. Engage with their content, as often as they do it, engage with it as often as you can, and that simply comes from creating a bond with the consumer before anything else. So that's the kind of approach we're taking. comparing to, let's say, our competitors, we are growing less faster than them.
Okay.
But what we do notice is that we have a lot more genuine interactions and connections than them. And even in terms of like metrics, because these are like things that are available on like Meta. I could even today I was actually looking at the numbers between like, let's say, myself and the G's of the gins, you know? And yeah, the G's of the gins are literally the G's of the gins.
The G's of the gins.
So the G's of the gins, for example, you find that in terms of like followers, we have the least amount of followers compared to all our competitors.
Yeah.
In terms of like follower growth, we have the biggest follower growth relative to like all these other partners.
Yeah.
In terms of like content, we have a lot more content than they do. So we know there are places in which we're winning and there are places in which they're winning, but we know it's like the end game is ensuring that in the base of all things, we have like a unique, authentic audience that is really a community as opposed to like a bunch of listeners, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, so in that particular regard, I think that answers that question. And then the second one is on the influencer safari.
Yeah,
so
you guys
fun-
took them to a safari in
Yeah.
Ghana.
Fun fact, actually, I'll take like 50 steps back. So Kenyan Originals is a brand, okay?
Yeah.
So under Kenyan Originals, there is a line of cider, there is a line of iced teas, there's a line of tonics.
Yeah.
So within the also in gin. So within the KO portfolio, you have 4 different lines of product: the ciders, gin, iced teas, and tonics.
Yeah.
But then up, or rather on top of the KO brand, we have an umbrella house of brand, which is called African Originals. So African Originals is basically, I would say, the trading name, and then also the umbrella brand. So the umbrella brand meaning we have AO or African Originals as the main umbrella brand. Under AO you have KO, and then KO you have the different lines, and then also under AO as the house of brands you have another AO brand itself. The AO African Originals is basically for the export market. So we are currently available in the UK. You can also find us on Amazon. Also, like if you're in places like Nigeria, Tanzania.
Yeah, I was actually gonna ask where we can also get your product apart from Kenya. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, you can get us on Amazon. Also, if you're in Rwanda, I'll send you guys the link. You could go check out our product. And then so we have the KO, AO, and then AO we have the ciders.
Yeah.
And then now we have the 5/8 gin. What are the 5/8 spirits?
Okay.
So these 3 brands all stand different or unique to each other.
Okay.
I, being an employee of African Originals, I am obligated to represent all our brands.
Okay.
But being the brand manager for 5/8, it is my core business to get like 5/8 like off the ground and running.
Yeah.
You know? So what that means for us is that we're also able to really focus on different consumer segments within the wider net of what Kenya is. And KO ciders, KO gin, iced teas, tonics would serve a certain audience, and then the 5/8 would serve a certain audience. There would be an overlap in terms of like the consumers that we serve, because maybe one person who drinks the cider also prefers a gin, and maybe they prefer the 5/8 gin. But regardless of all that, we do see them as completely different brands. So for the Nganya activation, which is like now 5/8 led, we were doing an influencer safari, and the whole idea is we were going to 4 different locations. So the first location is a place called CBCK, Christian-based community of Kenya. It's basically a non-profit organization that nurtures kids in, I would say, marginalized communities, like in places like Kibera, where they basically teach kids different social skills and also different skills, whether it's dancing, whether it's like painting, whether it's like playing basketball, playing football, all these different kind of like activities to help these kids basically do better and try to be more like in their lives and also in their community. So there we were doing a painting session with Petrix. Petrix is an artist that we've previously worked with before. Is a very, very amazing dude. He also takes his time off to also tutor kids, learning more about art, how to hold a brush, how to paint, how to mix colors, how to use acrylic to, let's say, water-based paints, all these unique things. So we used that opportunity to obviously give back to the community, and then also at the same time have the experience of, drawing and, engaging with paints and engaging with art. It was a really, really cool kind of like activity. Also brought out the creative nature in us. So that was the first location. We did that with Petrix and some of the kids. And then after that, we went for the second location. The second location is Kuona Arts. So Kuona Arts is basically a collective arts community with sculptors, artists, performers, apparel designers, like different kind of like communities. The guy who did I would say the design, or rather the branding on the back of the 5/8 bottle, his name is Dennis Muraguri. So Dennis Muraguri is a Kenyan contemporary artist who's also based in like the Kuona Arts collective, and we were just basically heading there to like help the guys understand the whole story behind the 5/8. How did we come up with the design, how did we come up with the the print. Have you noticed that the bottle in the back of the bottle has a matatu drawn inside it?
Yes, I actually saw it. Yeah,
exactly.
Wow, shout out to the matatu culture.
Exactly. Shout out to like matatu culture. Also Dennis Muraguri, amazing artist. I think I'll just simply point out something about his work is that he makes matatu drawings very interestingly, where he would literally sculpt the drawing on a wooden board.
Oh wow.
And then use that board as a stencil to make paintings. So he's taking a different direction. You know, it's just paint on the canvas or paint on the paper. No. He's like, no. Let me sculpt it in the wood. Use that as a stencil. And
wow.
it's the details, the intricacy of the design is super nice.
Yeah.
So we wanted to incorporate that part of the artwork in there. Also being inspired by the matatu culture, we wanted to feature the matatu culture in the bottle itself, and how best to do it other than inside the bottle itself. So after that, after the Kuona Arts, we went to Wine Tales. Wine Tales is a cocktail space on Gong Road, just opposite Nairobi Chapel. It's a very, very young urban kind of like environment. You have a lot of uni kids from Riara, Daystar, Strathmore, like all coming in together and like having like a mad time there. The cocktails are super affordable, and they're like super like packed with like booze, so like the kids really love that.
They're like, oh my god, guys.
Yeah, for like 300 I'm getting like I don't know how many shots.
Yeah.
So that was really cool. We had one of the influencers, Benzema, do like a celebrity mixology. So like literally you would like, let's say, order a Benzema and then Benzema makes it for you.
That's it.
The ladies were dying for
I'm so sure.
They're like, oh my god,
Benzema,
Alejandro.
Oh my god.
That was really, really cool. And then so we did that. Then we headed out to Vibanda Village. Vibanda Village is basically like an account on Upper Hill. That's where we basically were able to like finish our night. Also there we were able to make like a few cocktails for some of the consumers. Able to like create content, because I think it's very unique to have someone like an influencer making a cocktail for a consumer.
That is true.
That is genuine.
You don't get that every day.
You don't get that every day. And then also it's more, I would say it's more authentic and organic, as opposed to having someone like him post a photo, with the nini. It's more
drink.
like, oh, I actually had Benzema make me the cocktail. So it's really, really fun. I got a lot of feedback in regards to like, what about it is good, what about it we could like improve on. So a lot of learnings, but overall an amazing experience. The content out of it was
incredible.
Superb. Really love it. And also we had amazing partners working with us, like One Sons Creative and some few other guys, and big up to them, because they definitely pulled my weight. More than my weight.
Nice. So today there are a couple of billboards that have gone up. Can we talk about them?
Yeah, for sure. For the first time
since
guys,
the
inception of Kenyan Originals, you are hearing it first at Radio 254, the Tuchapiane show. KO has three billboards now. The first one is just outside of the Alchemist. It features the KO Classic Gin and the KO Blush Gin. The KO Blush was recently the KO Tambuzi. You possibly are gonna still see some Tambuzi bottles in the trade. But we're switching the name up to Blush. And then we have another one opposite Whiskey River on Gong Road, which is to serve the Kiambu guys and that region. And then the last one, you have it in Karen, close to the hub, just at the roundabout.
Incredible.
So I think I think this is a very, very exciting part for me specifically because I've always wanted to have KO on a billboard, because I think everyone has been telling me, why are you guys not on a billboard? You know, like, what's going on? And I'm like, yeah, come down, the cycle, it's coming. So I think it's really, really exciting to see what potential and opportunities it brings to us.
Incredible.
Yeah.
What's been the biggest milestone of KO so far?
Wow, so many.
Yeah.
So being a young brand, we really are growing. Like today, I'll give you a simple example is one of our sales team members had their daughter give birth. So she's a grandmom.
Oh, wow.
So this is a very simple one, you know. But just to show you, like, you know, even that to us is a thing we talk about.
Big,
you know, it's like, oh my God, Daddy just had a grandchild. So that's really, and first ever grandchild within that particular family.
Yeah.
But within the business, there's so many milestones. Oh my God. I think last month was, I wouldn't say the number, but was one of our biggest numbers, or rather our biggest sales months ever. And this was all kudos to like the whole team in totality, from production to warehousing to like the whole AO team, even the like plus the commercial team, etc. But maybe what I would say is, a year ago in April we launched the first spirits line outside of what, you know, is already existing, which is a very, very unique thing. Also last year we were able to launch 2 new products into the market. The first one was a coffee cider, which was like a collaboration between Spring Valley Coffee and KO. And then also at the same time we were able to launch a new product called the Purple Haze Gin. So Purple Haze Gin was also a collaboration between Mothaiga Tea and KO gin. So we basically use the Mothaiga purple tea to make a gin, and then we make an amazing gin and tea. And not gin and tonic, but gin and tea. So it's really, really fun.
Yeah, and I was being told like purple tea is like up there, like it's expensive.
It's expensive,
like,
and also the benefits are really, really phenomenal.
Good,
Plus the cosmetic industry loves it for like for different cosmetic ingredients or rather products. Yeah.
Incredible. So I want to ask 2 more questions.
No problemo.
What's your most selling product? Or your best selling product rather?
Maybe let me say line, and then say what product I think.
You think? Okay.
Yeah. So in terms of line, our bread and butter is cider.
Okay.
Yeah. So the bread and butter is cider, because cider has a much, much huger share when it comes to like any other place, or rather in any other place.
Yeah.
Within the cider portfolio, I would put up 2 contestants: pineapple and mint, passion and lime. Because the passion and lime has been a very consistent one, dominating the field.
Okay.
The pineapple and mint, the same too.
Incredible.
Yeah. And then recently we had the 5.8 350 ml, and the 5.8 350 ml also is a very, very fast mover, just simply because obviously it's a spirit and it's 350, so it flies off the shelf.
Any new products coming into the market?
Maybe next year. Maybe next year.
Okay.
I'm not gonna give any details,
all right,
but just good things are coming.
Just things are coming. Yeah. Stay tuned. So my last question for you, Brian.
Yeah.
Why do you like KO? Why KO?
To be honest with you, I was even telling my mom the other day, like I think KO is my life right now. KO has not simply grown with me, but grown me. You know, like, so actually I didn't even finish the whole story about like the way I progressed. It's okay. So from I did a 3 months in sales team.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it anymore. I reached out to now my CEO.
Yeah.
And I said, hey,
killing me.
I was like, yo, listen, fam, it's either like, you know, I quit or you give me another opportunity, because I really don't see my skills being put to, you know, use in this particular field.
Yeah.
She really, really like with a positive mentality, took up that feedback, gave me like the right processes to take in regards to like what could I do to like improve my environment. She gave me an opportunity within the business to now lead the activations team, which is this is the team that I used to work for now 3 months or 4 months prior. Then now I'm the manager for the very same team. So the business entrusted me with managing a team of at least 70 people.
Wow.
So like that's
big.
From 4 months being promoted into like handling like a team of 70 people. You know, some people be like, hey, they threw too much at you, but they threw as much as I could handle. So I did that for almost a year and a half. In the year and a half, I was very involved in different parts of the business, you know, doing research and development, you know, innovation and research, all this mumbo jumbo. That was during the incubation period or the ideation period of like the 5A gin. So I was very, very fundamental in regards to like, you know, building the product and building the, you know, the liquid credentials and like understanding more about the consumer and building the consumer profile, the path to purchase, like, you know, what's the shopper journey. And then I did that for like a year and a half, and then I got promoted to being a brand manager now. So within 3 years, I had been promoted thrice, one being a lateral move as opposed to like a top promotion. And this whole time, the business has been, I would say, mindful enough to understand the person that I am and the needs that I would require to like fully, I would say, operate. And then also over and above all this, they have given me the opportunity to not simply share my ideas, but to build them. You know? Because like I would say with pride that 5/8 is a project that I have been working on for the past 2 years now, and seeing it in the market, seeing people consume it, seeing people say good things about it, getting feedback about it, and like understanding more about, you know, how you build a brand, how you develop a product. KO is everything to me. Like genuinely, even to the point where, you know, put my money where my mouth is, invested in the business also. Also got an opportunity to like, you know, really touch base with phenomenal minds over the duration that I've been there. And just basically being in an environment that people value me for the person that I am. Because I could be at work, when people are not speaking too audibly, they say channel your inner Brian. Like so in the business they've basically coined me as, you know, like as the talking boy who's like loud and like, you know, audible and like, you know, very I would say forward about, you know, what he wants and what he needs. And I like that, because also they don't look at that and point it out as a negative thing. They look at that and point it out as a positive thing, which is a very, very amazing brand. And final thing, KO has 5 main values. The first one is integrity. The second one is resilience. The third one is collaboration. The fourth one is originality. Then the fifth one is accountability. Okay, so combining all these values together, we literally repeat them every single Monday morning. Like Monday morning when we meet for like company meetings, we have like some chocolates, and you know, like any person who says a value and gives an example, that you're given a chocolate. And I think those small rituals within the business have been really able to, I would say, help me understand and also hone what my abilities and capabilities are within the business, and then being able to like channel it in the right way, because also the same people that we're talking about the values together with are the same people I end up requesting help from. So it's very easy for me to say, hey, in the spirit of collaboration, how about you help me with this? And in the spirit of resilience, how about you push on a bit longer?
Incredible.
So very amazing environment, very amazing people, and it's literally a land of endless possibilities. Looking at me being promoted 3 times just speaks about what a young man could have. Also, if you're a viewer and you're wondering how young I am, I'm only 24 years old. So if all these things are happening to a 24-year-old, it's amazing.
It can happen to you too.
Yeah.
So since 2019, the Kenya Originals brand has also come to represent much more than just drinks. They want to provide a platform for all Kenyans to ignite originality in modern Kenya. And we're talking about the movers, the shakers, the risk takers, the Kenyan originals, the Don Dadas. So for these fearless individuals, they want to collaborate with them just to help them grow and see them grow and it's just been incredible to watch you guys grow, and whether that's using the matatu artist skills to, you know, spray behind the bottle, then these guys are really doing the thing. I'd like to thank Bran for coming over. It's been incredible. And Kenya Originals was founded in 2018. Can you imagine that, guys? And in case you've never tried a KO, please make sure you go check them out. They have you guys sorted on the gin, the ciders, the teas. So please make sure that you go check them out. It's been incredible having you, Brian. Please keep on doing what you're doing. It's really an inspiration to see our very own, you know, grow and just be able to be what you guys are doing, and not only just be a drink, but build a community behind it, which I feel like is very, very important. So for other listeners who have been tuned in, this is Tuchapiane. I'm going to play Saru. This is Suluhu Freestyle. This is Radio 254, the home of Kenyan music and content.
Kuna fununu kadhaa zimenifikia, ndo nasikia ati kuna vitu fulani tunagombania. Menita nimetikia juu papa shawatishia, na huyo mama nawaambia mwacheni mtawajibia. Mpeni tishu akilia, ongeze sidiria, maana kama nanyonyesha potimi ashapapitia. Tuko na historia alafu uenda dangu pia, na mimi kweli nitakwambia siogopu kinichukia. Hisi kiki kweli ngoma za kufika boda na zipiti. Ulinyang'anywa title, leta hiyo kiti. Tunabishana vipi, leta nume staki binti. Nenda kajipodoe weni hapa na usodoki na mistari aneza kopi. Mwambia kuje na dola maana zenu sio noti. Yuko wapi Young Lunya anazeka na nasunya, kama nanyonia chooni mwacheni amalize kunya. Kama si kaliba sina nika si mimi hapa, liwauliza swali mnashindwa mtajibu nini sasa? Sindwa togopangia tujifichi kwa kichaka. Oh you can learn a thing, si kwenu mko na darasa. Mlipewa Samia mkakosa suluhu, so tumewakalia watoto wa uhuru. Neza wapaidia mwifikishe kwa ikulu, but kwanza na washuku ni hulipa ushuru. Taka usitake si ndio tuko in charge, ndio maana mara kwa mara tuna keep in touch. Lafu sijali if you guys lost touch, kwenye game mepotea and I did research. Sijui ni kuzembea au tumewalemea, na sitaki nionekane kama mimi na waonea. Nasikiza diss zenu alafu nazikompare, nashindwa ni msanii mgani wa huku kwetu nitawapea. Kaveve kazoze, huyo ni fire, compare tu hizo ngoma zenu nyuimba za kwaya. Wakadinali ndo watu mna require, kubishana na wasanii wakongwe wameretire. Yuko wapi Rapture?